Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how some people don't really want to defeat you? They just want to provoke you? They don't need to win. They just need a reaction, a flinch, a crack in your composure. Because the moment you react in anger, they know they still have power over you. And that's all they ever really wanted. Your anger is their fuel. It feeds them. It tells them, I still matter to you. You think you're being strong by clapping back, raising your voice, proving your point. But you're not proving strength. You're proving you're still tied to them. Emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. See, anger feels powerful. But it's not power. It's a leash. And the worst part? Most of us hand it to them willingly. When you lose your temper, you become predictable, controllable, reachable. Like a puppet waiting for someone to pull the strings. But here's the truth. Real strength is not in how loud you shout. It's in how still you stand. Because if they can control your state, they can control your story, your decisions, your image, your path forward. So next time someone tries to bait you, pause. Ask yourself, do I want to react or do I want to rule myself? Because anger doesn't make you powerful. It just proves you're still a prisoner. Let go of the leash. Take back your calm. Because that's the real victory, when they can no longer pull you into the chaos. And you no longer need to fight to prove your worth. They'll tell you to just stay calm, as if calm is weakness. But calm, true calm, is one of the rarest forms of strength. Stoicism doesn't ask you to be emotionless. It's not about shutting down or pretending nothing hurts. It's about becoming unmoved, not numb. There's a difference. It's about standing in the fire, feeling everything, the disrespect, the betrayal, the chaos, but not letting any of it control your response. You feel it, but you don't let it move you. There's a saying I live by. Burn, but don't lose your shape. Your emotions are real, but they don't get to drive the car. Because the moment someone can make you angry, they own a piece of you. And when your emotions are driving, your clarity disappears. And without clarity, your decisions suffer. Your words get sloppy. Your image crumbles. That's why Marcus Aurelius said, how much more harmful are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? It's true, isn't it? What they did may have stung for a moment, but the way you reacted, the bridge you burned, the message you sent, the regret you carried after that lasted far longer. So the next time you feel yourself boiling, pause. Not to suppress it, but to choose. To respond, not react. To stay centered, even when the world pushes you sideways. Because control isn't about ignoring emotion. It's about mastering it. And when you do, you take your power back not just from them, but from every version of yourself that used to hand it away. We've all been there. Someone disrespects you, mocks you, twists your words, and something inside you flares that heat in your chest, that tightness in your jaw, anger. It rushes in and feels like power. But here's the truth no one wants to admit. That anger isn't power, it's insecurity in disguise. It's fear with a roar. It's doubt wearing a lion's mask. Real strength doesn't scream. It doesn't slam doors or type long-winded messages trying to win the last word. Real strength stands still. It doesn't need to prove anything. Because when you're truly in control, you don't need revenge. You don't need validation. You don't even need to be understood. You know who you are, and that's enough. The Stoics understood this long ago. They taught that we don't control other people. We barely control the world around us. The only real battlefield is the mind. And if your peace can be stolen with a few words, if your whole state can be hijacked by one act of disrespect, then let's be honest, you're not free yet. You're still handing strangers the keys to your emotion. So ask yourself, if they can make you angry, can they also control you? Because anger always shows up like a fire, but it leaves you cold, empty, and often ashamed. True freedom begins the moment you stop reacting and start ruling yourself. Have you ever stopped to realize how easy it is to be controlled? Not by force, not by law, but by someone's words, a sarcastic tone, a passive-aggressive comment, a cold shoulder. And just like that, you're triggered, heart racing, hands clenched, ready to defend yourself. But here's the truth most people never face. That kind of anger? It's not strength. It's emotional slavery. When anyone can hijack your peace with a sentence, you're not powerful. You're just reactive. And let me be honest, I've lived this. There was a time when I needed to correct every misunderstanding, prove every rumor false, confront every slight. It was exhausting because I wasn't fighting them. I was fighting the part of me that couldn't stand being misunderstood. But freedom? Real freedom, the kind that brings peace at 2 a.m., comes from detachment, from discipline, from choosing not to engage in battles that only drain your soul. You don't need to change their mind. You don't need to win their respect. You need to guard your stillness like it's sacred because it is. Next time someone pushes your buttons, don't respond the way they expect. Look them in the eye or don't. But in your silence, speak something far louder than anger. You don't have that kind of access to me anymore. That's what strength looks like. Not loud, not aggressive, but calm, grounded, unreachable. Because emotional freedom isn't about what happens around you, it's about what no longer controls you. Not every battle is worth your sword. In fact, the strongest warriors know most fights are invitations, not obligations. You see, the Stoic doesn't react. He responds. He doesn't attack. He observes. He watches the chaos and remains unmoved. Because strength isn't measured by how loud you roar, but by how little it takes to shake you. They want your reaction. That's the goal. They poke, they provoke, they twist your words not to defeat you, but to pull you out of your peace. And here's what they'll never understand. You don't have to return fire when you're already above the battlefield. You don't need revenge when your life speaks louder than your words. You don't need to teach them a lesson. Life will do that for you. In time. The Stoic doesn't shout. He doesn't chase closure. He doesn't argue with people who are committed to misunderstanding him. Instead, he turns inward, not to escape, but to anchor. Because he knows anger is attachment. And detachment, that's where freedom lives. You want to confuse them? Stay calm. You want to disarm them? Stay silent. Let them throw words like stones. You don't have to catch a single one. Let your stillness speak. Let your focus offend. Let your lack of reaction echo louder than their noise ever could. Because nothing frustrates the petty more than realizing they can't move you anymore. That's the Stoic response. Not to shrink from the fire, but to become the kind of man who no longer burns. Let them talk. Let them twist the story. Let them believe whatever they need to believe. You don't have to fix their version of you. That's not your job anymore. Your job is to protect your peace. See, most people spend their whole lives trying to control how others see them defending, explaining, arguing, performing. But the truth is, no matter how clear you are, people will still hear you through the noise of their own story. And when you chase every misunderstanding, you lose something precious. Your clarity. And once that's gone, so is your power. Because here's the quiet truth. You don't need everyone to understand you. You just need to understand yourself. Stoicism teaches this. The wise man doesn't stand firm because he feels nothing. He stands firm because he refuses to let feelings control him. That's the difference. You are the mountain. They are the wind. Let them rage. Let them howl. But you stay grounded. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to correct the narrative. You don't need them to lose so you can finally feel like you've won. Victory isn't about beating them. It's about not needing to. Like Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. And when you master your response, you master your life. So next time the chaos rises, don't rise to meet it. Drop into stillness and let the world remember. The most unshakable force is the one that doesn't move.